Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It is a gorgeous sunny winter's morning this morning, and so I thought I'd make a start on the garden. I'm doing a bit of a victory garden this year. I love gardening, I really do. It's my happy place, but I have neglected my garden for the last few years, so I'm getting back into it this year. So today I'm in my dilapidated polytunnel and I'm going to be transplanting some raspberries. My old polytunnel, it's over 20 years old now, and it's probably due for, well, it's no probably about it, it's due for a new cover, but I just can't afford that at the moment. So there's quite a few rips and tears that I've tried to mend in it and some holes, but you know, it's still sort of firm and okay. So this year I'm going to put my raspberries in here. I've prepared a bed. Because it is getting a bit dilapidated, I thought I would put something permanent in here. So I am sort of planning to do mainly fruit bushes in here this year. So I've weeded the bed. I haven't got a lot of extra money for composts and manure and that stuff. So I've dug in some leaves. These leaves I actually gathered not last year, but the year before. But they don't seem to have rotted down very well. So I think they were a bit dry when I put them in the bags. But hopefully they'll rot down in the beds. As we go along, and will help nourish my soil. Now the reason I'm transplanting my raspberries is I have loads of raspberries. I'll show you in a minute. They've spread everywhere, but I get very little fruit. I don't know whether it's because I live so high up in the mountains or whether I'm just not that green fingered. I do have sort of, well, different sort of levels of success with my gardening, let's say. Some things grow really well here, others just don't. So, and one of them is raspberries. I've got loads. I'll show you how many I've got, and I get very little fruit. So I've got all these canes here, and I've got a load here. The dog's taking an interest. I've got a lot of these along the greenhouse. These are all canes as well, raspberries. And they come out to here. And there's some around the corner. And yeah, they don't seem to produce a lot of fruit. However, inside my little greenhouse, I've got some rogue raspberry plants that have put themselves here. They've sort of spread and they've come into my greenhouse. And this year I had a bumper crop of raspberries. I have never had so many. They were delicious. They were great. And so I thought, oh, they obviously need to grow under cover up here. So I thought I would take all the raspberries from outside and transplant them into the polytunnel under cover and see if that will give me more fruit. I don't know whether to just leave these here in the greenhouse because they're quite well established and they did so well last year, but they do take up quite a lot of space. So I'm still thinking about that, but definitely the ones outside I'm going to go and start digging. So what always happens with my gardening is I hit a snag. This is no exception. Basically, most of the raspberries do not want to move. They like where they are and they don't want to come with me. This is an example. This is one of the ones. They're very close to my greenhouse. I do not want to risk breaking any glass or anything. They are really well in the ground, and I did have some weed suppressant around the greenhouse. My garden is a real hard work garden. It's always taken so much time that I just don't have. It's not a pottering garden at all, and I just hadn't had the time or the resources to sort of make it into what I wanted. So it's a bit of a free-for-all, to be perfectly honest, and I keep trying to put weed suppressant down. It doesn't actually work for me. I think it would be a full-time job to try and keep the weeds out of my garden. And so what's happened is everything's grown around it, but I can't get a spade in the ground because I just hit the weed suppressant. And as I say, it's so close to the greenhouse. However, I have managed to still, I have managed, just falling over there, to get a pile. I have got quite a few. I've managed to get out the ground. So what I'm going to do with these, I mean, whatever I get is more than I get, or, you know, whatever I manage to sort of salvage, and if I get fruit off them in the tunnel, it's more than I'm getting at the moment, because it just doesn't seem to grow. It sort of has these tiny berries that don't seem to mature, and anything that does, the birds just get it straight away. So I'm going to clean all the soil and make sure there's no weeds, sort of rogue weeds with them, and prune them and get them planted into the polytunnel, and just be thankful for what I've got. I'm sure I'll find a few more that I can sort of pull out the ground, but we'll see. And I think the ones around the greenhouse, I'm just going to prune them, and maybe I could put some sort of netting around them, something like that, when they start fruiting, to try and encourage them to get bigger and to protect them from the birds. But we'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, I'm going to have some lunch, and then I'm going to come out, clean these up and get them planted in the polytunnel. Well, what a day. I'm a bit dishevelled now, and I think I've got quite a bit of mud in my hair, so I have to have a good wash tonight. But even though I didn't manage to get many of the plants up, I still actually had loads to fill the space. So I filled the space quite nicely. I don't know if you can see, because it is getting a bit dark now, but I kept them in the clumps I dug them up in, and yeah, I've got, you can see better up here. So I filled the whole space with my raspberries. So let's hope they grow. At this moment in time, I've got nothing to lose, but I thought, waste not, want not, let's give it a go. So I've transplanted this very large bed here full of raspberry canes. Whew. I have got these bits of wood I salvaged from something I made years ago that didn't really work, and I'm going to use them to support the raspberries with some wire, but I think that might be another day. So I'm going to leave it there now. I'm going to stake them another day, possibly tomorrow, I'm not sure. But it does still get dark very early here, and I still need to walk the dog before the light fades. So I'm going to go and get myself cleaned up a bit, and then go for a little walk in the countryside with the dog for an hour before I go back and make tea. So there we are. That was a day in the garden, hopefully well spent. We will keep everything crossed that the raspberries grow, but as I say, I've got nothing to lose. And until next time, enjoy the garden.